Welcome to the Investor Fuel Real Estate Investing Show, where I interview the nation's top real estate entrepreneurs, industry leaders, and other amazing entrepreneurs to help educate and inspire you to take your business and your life to the next level. My goal is to add tremendous value to you during every single episode of this show. If you get value, I'd love it if you subscribe on your favorite podcast player, subscribe on YouTube, and my very favorite, please share this with your community so we can impact even more entrepreneurs. Let's start today's show. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Today, I'm here with my buddy, John Medina. I would say I would call you a good friend, but we haven't talked in years, so it's great to see you and catch up a little bit. And the last few years has been an interesting ride for a lot of folks, even if they're doing well. I would say most people have been working harder than they have in a long time. And if some struggled, then if they stayed in the game, they found a way to kind of right the ship one way or another. And so we're going to be talking today kind of about back to basics. Like, I think it's easy to get attracted to a lot of shiny objects. It's going after new acquisition strategies, new exit strategies. And sometimes the best thing to do is just to reset and kind of get back to basics and get refocused. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So John, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing good, Mike. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Yeah, I consider you an old friend too. I've known you for years, and you guys, you're a great guy. You bring a lot of value to people, and I really appreciate you having me on here. Thank you.
Yeah, great to see you. So before we jump in, why don't you tell us your backstory a little? You've been a real estate investor for a long time, and we talked a little bit about the past couple of years. I think without stealing the thunder for the whole show, we're going to be talking about some of your lessons learned from advertising to ramping up your team to getting attracted to shiny objects in the business and stuff like that over the past couple of years and kind of where you've evolved. So don't steal your thunder for the show. Otherwise it'll be a 5-minute show, but tell us a little bit about your backstory.
Yeah. So thanks, Mike. I'm here. I live here in Los Angeles, San Pedro, California, down here in the port. I lived here my whole life, 58 years, born and raised here. So it's my family pretty much. So pretty interesting. Yeah. I was a plumbing contractor for years. So I started, I got into plumbing when I was 19. And I worked about 4 years for some companies around here. And I just decided, hey, I'm going to go on my own, right? I wasn't meant to work for anybody. So kind of just take a chance and start, picking up jobs around here. What's interesting is for living in the same community for years, I had, grandparents and friends and family that lived here. And so I was able to kind of get some business with, from people that just knew me. They knew I was a plumber. But it's interesting. I was doing plumbing on houses and that's all I can get at the time. And I never really wanted to be, I did industrial commercial plumbing. I did some I was a new construction guy, just to get to the chase, And all of a sudden, man, I was miserable. I was fixing toilets, crawling into houses. That's how to make a living. And I wasn't really a toilet fixing guy, right? I used to take offense to that. How it's like, I don't want to fix a toilet, but hey, you kind of had to make a living, so to speak. So I kind of just squeaked by there for a while and, didn't have to work for anybody. And, it was tough. You make some money, spend it, make some money again. It always showed up. So yeah. And then I got a license. And then once I got a license, I kind of just started growing the business and started doing construction again. And, I got into what I really liked, industrial commercial. And I did pretty good. I had a good run. And about, 2012, I was like, man, I'm getting kind of tired of doing this plumbing thing and wanted to buy some rentals. So I took some classes from a guy named Bruce Norris. That's was a local here out of Riverside, great California guy, great guy. Still see him. Yep. And decided like, hey, I had some money in the bank. How many rentals could I buy with this amount of money I have? So I started kind of buying rentals, and short sales were big back then. So it's pretty easy. You don't really have to do much for a short sale. We got lucky, hooked up with a local realtor. And in the area that I wanted to buy in. And next, I just started buying houses. It was simple. I mean, it was like, houses were cheap back then too, especially around here. So I started picking them up and buying them. And I was like, man, this is so easy. I should probably quit plumbing and start doing this full time. So in 2014, I kind of just jumped into it and just, kind of put my plumbing business to the side and just started using my construction skills and started flipping houses. So yeah, that was it.
And then yada, 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 the rest is history, because that's been, 12 years now, right?
Yeah. And I mean, it was a lot easier at the beginning because it was interesting that at the beginning, no one wanted these houses. They was still coming out for the debacle there, and nobody wanted these houses. I'd send postcards out. I'd be the only guy getting like these people were begging me to take their houses the first year. It was like so simple, but it was interesting. In 15 and up forward, everybody got back in the game, and that's when you really needed like to build a business after that.
Yeah, and I think we'll talk about this. Obviously want to hear your story. One of the things that I think, John, and I know that you've I don't know this about you, like you, if you considered over the past couple of years, like doing something else, but there's a lot of people that left the industry because things got hard. Right. And I think, you owned another business before. I think you would probably agree. It's back to that, some of the kind of memes or things we've seen around like choose your hard, like
Yeah.
everything that's worthwhile is hard. Like
Yeah.
you could go do something else, but that too will get hard unless you settle for probably a life that you would have regrets from, right? Like anything that kind of the driven entrepreneur wants to do is going to get hard because we're constantly trying to push the boundaries of what that business can do for us or how much we can accomplish inside of that box, right?
Yeah, and that's a great point because yeah, the last 3 years has been kind of tough. We've had like I can tell you some stories, right? It's like
Yeah.
there's I got my ass kicked, and but I'm still here to talk about it. And at one point,
Yeah.
yeah, I did want to quit. For a split second. I'm not a quitter,
Yeah.
but I did think about it, and it was last year my mom passed away. I had some really really things happen to me, but then again, as far as as far as the business not really doing good last year, I had some really good wins on the other end too. So, I mean, as you know, it's not always going to be, it's not always going to be easy, right? And I think when
Yeah.
you go through these challenges and you really start like questioning yourself and digging deep and figuring out who you really are, and setting goals and just getting back to the basics, there's a lot of peace in that. Now,
y- Yeah.
there was a lot of unsettlement in that period too, and I'm very spiritual, and I'm Catholic. I tell people I'm Catholic. I signed up for these prayer exercises, and every morning my morning routine is I go back and they give me an exercise, and I have to go back and I have to really dig into my past and ask a lot of questions, and it's tough, but you know what? I got the answers. And what's good about those answers is that is helping me move forward into this year, and I'm stoked right now. I'm
That's great.
and
Yeah.
telling everybody this is it's actually liberating for me because I was it was dark, man. It was you questioned it. I questioned myself. Is this what I really want to be doing?
Yeah.
And I said, what do I really want to be doing? I love Hawaii. That's like my that's my spot. I was like, well, I just want to go to Hawaii and sit under a palm tree. But then I know that coconut's going to hit me on the head after about 2 weeks. I don't know what the hell did I do?
Right.
And now I'm out of the game. And I mean, I got a lot of
Yeah.
equity in my house and stuff. I can make it some time without working, but no, that's not what
Yeah.
I'm here for.
There's a couple of there's a Jim Rohn quote that I've mentioned many times lately, which is the one that says, "Don't wish it was easier, wish you were better."
Yeah.
And I think, when you go through a tough time, it just makes you a stronger entrepreneur, a better person, maybe a better spouse, maybe a better parent, maybe not. I mean, not everybody always gets better in every
Yeah.
area, but I'm not talking about you specifically, but I just think having gone through challenging times is what allows you to stand the test of time. Like if everything was easy forever, like that's not possible, right? Like,
No,
and so
it's
you
not.
have to go through challenging times to get stronger.
Yeah, and you know what? It's interesting. You're 100% right, and I found and I knew that, but I didn't like it. I'll be the
Yeah,
first to tell you,
right.
I didn't like it. I had a lot of advisors that I
You didn't
talked to,
choose it, but
no,
yeah,
no, I got a
yeah,
lot of people I talked to, and I'm like, "This sucks," and they were like, "Well, and believe me, I'm pretty big on digging deep and trying to get to it, figure things out. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, it wasn't fun, but you know what? It's necessary. I
yep,
think it's totally necessary because if you don't go through that, you think it's going to be good all the time, and that's what happened when things were really good. And things got really good. And like in 2022, before the market kind of adjusted with the rates and everything, you couldn't do no wrong around here. I mean, you were getting an
right.
extra 50, 60, 70 grand on a house because of, I would say, dumb luck. It was people were pushing that stuff up. And it's like, I never thought I was the greatest guy. I would acknowledge, I used to tell my partner, I have a partner, Ricky, Ricky, I was like, we're just getting lucky right now, but this isn't going to last forever, and
Right.
yeah. So in those times, you have to really dig deep and you have to really remember, who you are. And that's one thing that with my mom passing away is being there for her, being with her there for the last couple of months. It's like, I was able to really look at her and go, man, she was an entrepreneur. She worked hard. She taught me a lot of great things that really helped me be at peace with her, but also to know who I am. Cause I know who I am. Right. So that's a really,
Right.
really powerful thing. So I'm glad that you
Yeah.
brought that up because if
Well, let's
anybody's
share a
struggling.
couple of things around lessons learned. Like, let's focus on Maybe like from an advertising perspective, I know you've had some challenges. Everybody's had challenges. Like in
Yeah,
that space. I run an agency. We've had some challenges, and
sure.
we've seen a lot of people that have challenges. But I think, in the spirit of growth, and I'm not saying that anybody here shouldn't be focused on growth. Like sometimes we kind of, as they say, got to get out over our skis a little bit and start making
Yeah,
decisions, and we assume that people that we hire are going to do what they say they're going to do, and they don't always do that, as we know,
right.
whether it's a agency or even a contractor we hire, right? But let's start with kind of advertising, just some of the lessons learned over the past few years.
Yeah, I think, well, first of all, people make big promises that they can't keep, right? And especially like some of the bigger agencies, like for instance, SEO agencies, they're going to promise they're promising that they're going to check all these boxes for you.
Yeah.
And what you find out is they only give you so many hours to do certain things. So they're just really focused on that meeting with you to show you the charts and the graphs from the Google console and how this is going up and this is going on. But at the end of the day, things are going up. But at the end of the day, it's like, well, there's stuff broken on the back end, or there's things that are going on that are not working. At the end of the day, it's like, my biggest concern is ROI. We need deals to survive. I don't, you're showing me all this traffic and all this kind of great stuff that's going on, but if we don't have any deals, we don't have any deals, and that's the
Right.
scorecard, right? For me, it's going to be like what's the ROI on that investment? So what we found out is that we started doing SEO on our own. We brought it in house. We started studying it. I guess the thing that's easier is AI. You could ask AI a lot of questions. They'll go on your website, they'll spray, but you get a lot of stuff out of AI. And then Ricky had a background in SEO. So from college, which was some time ago, we kind of just started doing some really deep dives into stuff. And we came up with a process and a system, and we figured out what needed to be done. Now we're just chipping away. So the EOS system, it's a rock. We're just going through that. And we have like 50 pages that need to be revamped. So we're just trying to tackle, by the end of the quarter here, try to get some fresh content on there and make it more local and add more pictures. And it's working already, because our traffic is 10. It's since we took it over in September, we've already 10x the traffic that we had from before. We don't have a lot of traffic, but see, we're getting deals. So I think we
Yeah.
got like 3 or 4 deals recently from SEO. So there's a scorecard, right? So you can see
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
moving. So yeah, that's
That's
my
great.
biggest takeaway.
I think, over the past 3 to 5 years, for sure. I mean, there was so much focus. If you go back like 3 to 5 years ago, so much focus on, there were so many people that were doing SMS marketing, cold calling, all,
Yeah.
all those things that provide cheaper leads, but they're generally lower quality leads, right? If they contact you, like an inbound lead that contacts you is just a better lead because they raise their hand and they want to talk to you. But if
It's
you interrupt somebody at dinner, like, and they're like, nah, I don't know, make me an offer, maybe I'll sell it. Like that's not a great offer. There's no distress there, probably, right? And so I think, back to even hiring agencies, you have to be careful when they start to say things like, well, we generated the leads. If you can't convert them, that's not our problem, or whatever,
right.
right? That they're
Right.
sending traffic to you, but it's like at the end of the day, all you care about is, I say ROAS, the return on ad spend, just that return on your investment. That's all that matters. Like, so that's why you can get way cheaper leads through, let's just say, texting. It has been largely destroyed at this point. I mean, there's still some people doing it, but not nearly as many. But the lead quality was so poor, and a lot of people don't really measure that return on ad spend because they get addicted to the cheap leads, but they're crappy leads,
100. It's so interesting that you said that, because these paper lead providers, right? So I'm not going to mention any
Yeah.
names. We use them all, so they're all in the same bucket as far as I'm concerned. But
Yeah.
they're charging $400 in the bidding system to get these leads, and it's like, they don't convert. So we track everything. I mean, we're tracking things like there's no tomorrow. So it's and then you get a credit, which is good if it doesn't work. But you're got, like, maybe let's say out of uh, 100 leads, only about maybe 30 of those are actually leads. 70 of them are like, who knows what's going on. And you get credits on those too, right? So you're spending
Yeah.
all this time and energy on 100. You have to call those people. And they're in the system that, we have a pretty good follow-up system that we're beating the hell out of this thing. We have a follow-up specialist, Sasha, and she's going through those things. Like, so your CRM is full of a bunch of leads that basically you can't even get a hold of. And these people, your people are working so hard to chase people that they're probably ghosts at this point. And
Yeah.
and you put all this energy, and then you call them and they don't even know who you are, like you're saying. And then it's like, wow, all of a sudden you get one SEO lead, they know who you are. and you talk to them because they've gone to your website, they've done the research, they know who you are, you close those people like 50%. It's amazing how
Mhm.
much better those leads are. So what we come to the conclusion is, you know what? Let's just shut those things off. Let's quit wasting our time on chasing people that aren't even there and putting all this energy out. Let's just, now you don't want to just sit there on your hands and think that this magically thing is going to show up. No, we're doing the work behind the scenes to get more leads, but also too, the people that are coming to us, they're ready to do business, or
Yeah.
at least talk to you and give you at least run the sales process with you,
Right.
and that's what we found out. So we're now are just like, it's funny. Somehow that, the bidding system with one of them got kind of bit up a little bit, and shut that thing off as fast as we can, because we didn't pay attention to it. We spent a little bit more than we wanted. So it's just off now. Now we're working off credits, and a couple leads came in right now, but I could probably open the door and say what happened with that lead. They don't have a house for sale or blah, 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 blah. So yeah,
Mhm.
we're kind of at this point where it's like, less is more. And it's
Yeah. Well,
that's a
quality is
really,
better than quality is more important than quantity in most instances.
yeah. And that's a lesson there too, Mike, is in this business, everybody's saying do more, do more, do more, do more, right? But what are you doing more of? You're just doing more you're just doing more busy work to get you net zero, to net you zero. And then you're exhausted at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So it's
That's
almost
clearly
like,
not the goal, but that happens a lot, right? Is like
yeah,
you
yeah. And I had a coach, Dr. Jeff Spencer, that's awesome. And he trained Olympic athletes, and he was Olympian himself. And I have his chart on the wall right here. It's just like, his whole thing is like, you want to zone pace. You don't want to zone pacing is like, you're not like, you're not at a speed where you're walking, and you're definitely not at a place where you're sprinting, but you're in the middle, and then you can see opportunities coming to you. Right. So that's very important, because we always want to, like, you don't want to outrun, like I said before, get over your skis, so to speak,
yeah.
get going too fast. So there's a lot of stuff that we're doing now. It's just like there's a lot of patience built in the business, and a lot of restraint too, by saying no to people that are a bad
Yeah.
fit. So
Yeah.
that's a big takeaway too.
One other curse for entrepreneurs, I think you probably dealt with some of this, is like taking on more, but not having the right team in place, or having, and you're maybe in your mind, you made an investment in the team, but they're not the right people or whatever, right? Like we just assume that as entrepreneurs, we tend to be able to wear a lot of hats because it's our business and we're efficient and we'll work harder to kind of get there. But sometimes we build out the team, or we're focused on that growth, like I want to scale up, right? And we start to hire people, but they're not necessarily the right people, or we don't have the right training in place for them, or, we are not paying enough to retain really good people or attract really good people, or we kind of end up hiring B players instead of A players, or there's all sorts of like lessons learned there. Any lessons learned from a team perspective that
Oh,
you can share?
100%. I mean, if that's, yeah,
You
you're,
haven't talked about
yeah,
this yet? I know they're there. I can see it on your face. So
yeah, it's interesting because, it's like, wow, wow, that's a really good one, because 2022, I've already said this. We had our best year ever. 6 months, we were crushing it, right? And all of a sudden, it's like, man, we're going to do more. I was like, we got to do more. Let's do more and more and more. And then we went. I hired a COO. I just kind of started backing off. I went to Croatia, and I was on a cruise in the Mediterranean over there, thinking like, wow, this is the land. I never thought this is like what I would do my whole life, but it was like I was burned out, Mike. I was like stressed. It was good. I was on vacation, but when I came back, it was recommended by another coach of mine. Hey, get a COO. Well, I hired a COO, and then once you bring on like an A player type of guy that you're paying pretty good money, because this is Los Angeles. No one's going to work here for $1,000.
right.
It costs a lot of money to live around here. All of a sudden, you try to scale and go bigger. Probably the worst thing we ever did at this point. We burned through a lot of cash. It was almost like all the money I made, I had to give it back. A lot of entrepreneurs have that story. There's always this moment where you make it, and then you get away from how you made it, and then you kind of have to give it back, and you have to start over again. And that's kind of where we're at right now. I don't want to
Mm,
say we're starting over. So, well, we're not starting over because we have a brand that's recognizable, and
sure.
that carries a
Yeah.
lot of power, and we get a lot of referrals, and that's where the gold is for the referrals, right? But yeah, that's where we're at right now. We're just kind of back to the basics. It's almost like when Ricky and I started in 2017. Just like we're
So what
just,
are some of the lessons can you share from the COO, not specific to that person, but
yeah.
just was it you couldn't was it an affordability issue that they didn't really take as much off of your plate as you thought they might? Did they not have the right training? Like sometimes we hire people, but we don't like I'm guilty of I have a bigger team than ever by far now, but I have a problem of saying like, I'll just do it, or I'll let you know when I'm ready. And I just like, I have a hard time giving it up, you know? And
Yeah,
so
yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
I give it all up and sometimes I won't let go. And so it's like, it's not even consistent, but like maybe you can share some of your lessons there.
Yeah, you're reading my mind again. It's like, yeah, that's exactly what happened. I would, I was kind of just, we had like, it's funny. I moved like just across the street. I had a small office and everybody worked at home. Now everybody's in the office. I got a bigger office, and it was just, he's asking me what to do. I'm like, just go figure it out. But then again, he figures it out, and I didn't like it, and I want to change it. And it was just, I don't know if I'm that guy. I don't really know if I'm able to like just let go completely. I'm going to try to
Yeah.
learn. Maybe in my 60s, I'm a couple of years away from that, because every decade of your life, you kind of, I think your vision changes a lot, but, or there'll be some lessons that I learned there. But yeah, it was just, the market was changing. This California market is extremely tough, LA especially. So we started doing stuff kind of nationwide, and doing novations, and just trying to get things under contract. And then it just got to the problem where you're, a whole new sales system. So we joined another group, and they had a different way of selling. The girl that worked for us forever was really good at working at home and having her own style. Well, they didn't like her style, and they says, well, this doesn't work. You need to do this. So slowly but surely, we kind of transitioned the people out of here that were really good for what we were doing. And then all of a sudden, by trying to go nationwide or certain states, maybe California, Florida, we just, and the market changed too. The market got really tough, like in 23.
Yeah.
And we just didn't, I don't think we adapted well to the situation. And then we started just like cold calling and all that kind of stuff, where I don't like cold calling me personally. I just not something I want to do. And we started doing a bunch of stuff that kind of got us away from what made us successful the year before. And then we bought some properties too. Like I bought some properties out of state, which isn't a good fit for me. And even like, down in the desert here, like Palm Springs is probably 2 hours away. There's a place called Landers. We bought a house down there, and we're going to Airbnb it because that was big at the time. And then we went ahead and bought one in Yucca Valley, which is close to Joshua Tree. They're real close to each other. And we actually got that thing as an Airbnb. Well, you know what? The market changed, so that thing never rented. So now we got a house full of furniture that's 2 hours away, 2.5 hours away. So what do? We
Yeah.
brought it back here to our town here, and we sold it all. Yeah, that was a huge lesson right there. I had no business being in the Airbnb business. I was like, I'm a hotel owner or whatever I hate
Right.
this business, right? So
Yeah.
it sounded good at the time. That was a huge one. And then the one in Landers, which is in the middle of a 5-acre property that we bought, the market was booming out there because everybody wanted to be away from everybody from COVID. Well, we bought it from an ex-con, that's who we deal with, right? And the guy he had 10,000 tires, 12,000 tires around a 5-acre property. This is a really big lesson. Well, we trusted him to haul them away. He didn't haul them away. He buried them in the ground. He buried 12,000 tires in the ground on a property.
Wow.
Now we're getting ready to put this on the market. The neighbor shows up and says, hey, do you know the guy buried the tires? Well, no, we didn't know that. Well, guess what? Now I got to dig them up. I literally, with my plumbing experience, I got a tractor. I dug up 12,000 tires. Like, I shit you not. I'm lucky I had that kind of experience. It would have probably cost me like 80 grand. And because now you got to haul them away. Like, they're dirt. They're not recyclable. They're dirty. I mean, you talk about there's a whole show on that. It was just crazy.
Yeah.
But,
Wow.
but see, I have integrity. In my integrity, I could not sell that property to somebody else knowing that those tires were in the ground. I don't want to get sued. And to sue
Right.
the ex-con would have been like a nightmare, right? So
Right.
I literally went out there and I stayed out there and I dug up those tires. It took me probably 10 days and I got rid of them all. And but guess what? I could be on your show today and say I got rid of them all.
Right.
You know, I
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and and it's sometimes too, when you go through these rough periods, you have to question yourself. What are you going to do? You're going to do the right thing, or are you going to because I could have not said anything. And I think most people wouldn't have said anything, but I knew they were there. And with the core values I have and the way I want to run my life, I could not live with myself if I did it that way. So it
Yeah.
is what it is. So yeah, that's a big lesson there. And maybe, I'm not buying stuff that I, don't sight unseen anymore. I've kind of put a lot of my old checks and balances processes back in place, and they weren't hard to find. They're in the Google Drive. You just had to drag them over and start doing them again. So
Right.
that was a lesson. Yeah.
Yeah, one thing, John, is the past couple of years, like the people that are doing the wrong thing aren't here anymore. And I'm not saying that there aren't some people that always did the right thing that just decided to leave the industry or left or whatever. But like, if you do the wrong thing, it shows up in everything. Like, there's this quote about, what you do anything is how you do everything. You
Yeah.
know, like, if you kind of like make bad decisions in one area, you probably make bad decisions in other areas of your life. And the people that are doing stuff like that have so many problems in so many areas of their life that they can't weather the test of time in anything they do. So first off, kudos to you for always doing the right thing. But I can tell you, like, there's not very many people around in our industry right now that are still operating that went through the last few years and were willing to make that struggle, that consistently do the right thing. Like, the people that do the wrong thing are gone because they
Yeah.
made so many other decisions that just knocked them out of the game one way or another.
Yeah, 100%. And it's a funny story, but probably the guy I bought that property from that was in jail. He's probably back in jail for
Right.
doing stuff like this, right?
You should look him up. You should look him up. There's got to be got to be public record. Not that you not that you want to know necessarily. What you should do is send him a tire in prison,
I know.
like a big gift box with a ribbon on top, but it's just an old tire.
I could laugh about it. Because I would have cried before, but I never give up. It's just like you just like you nailed it. It's like I'm into this for the long haul.
Yeah.
I'm not into this for the short haul. I'm into the long haul. There's lessons learned, and you just know. It's like if someone calls for landers, we hang up the phone. You just you're not
Yeah.
finding anything there.
So let's talk about this idea of kind of getting hyper local, which is how you used to do it. And then you said you went national at some point,
Yeah.
right? And so now you're kind of back to just that local model. And I know we talked a little bit up front about, some of the competition, and you're just south of LA. So some of the competition in LA and some of the other markets, and there's some players that play over huge SWAT, like whole state even, or
Yeah.
certainly the LA metro area. If people don't know, like LA County alone, I think is like 10.5 million people or something. It's
the size of Rhode Island.
Yeah.
It's
massive.
it's a state. Yeah. Yeah.
It's massive. So,
Yeah.
but deciding to go local and, you have connections and you have relationships and you can build a brand in a local market, maybe a little like little more to your taste, maybe, but just talk about that decision of going big and then reeling it back in.
Yeah, I think what we came up with is like we're back to the time and energy. It's like we're spending all this time and energy driving 2 hours for me to go look at a property, and that was the problem with when we got those properties in the desert. We kind of were transitioning, so I kind of have two companies. I kind of like we have the John Medina buys houses, which is like the sales and marketing company that we bring in everything kind of as a wholesale deal, and then I have my construction company. My plumbing company is still kind of set up as a construction company. I'm going to get a California. I need a general's contractor's license. I'm getting that here probably next month. I'm going to pass the test, but we have things kind of split up. So what we're doing is the running this construction company, which is the rehab stuff. Because see, I do everything in house. I have guys that work for me, W-2 guys, and I hire all the subs. And so I'm kind of running that as a construction company. They're too hard to manage when they're 2 hours away. Then you get hit. People rip you off. They're not in great areas. We had someone come in and see all the wiring not that long ago. So, that's just part of rehabbing, right? So if we keep everything local, it's just really easy to get to. Plus, we know the area. We know the area really well. I know this area really well. $1 million houses here. They sell pretty quickly. We have a good industry here. We have the port. The port has good jobs. So, by being local, the neighborhoods, right? And that's gonna give you the advantage over other people. And then plus two, our town is our town's maybe 4 square miles, so you got to kind of go a little bit further out. But people know me, they know Ricky. We're local here in this community, so we could just by us being here, having an office and stuff like that, we can basically provide value to people. And we're just like you want to provide value to people. So we're here to provide value to people. Plus they're easier to manage if they're going to be rehabs too, right? Or Ricky's an agent too, so he could list those properties. It's still pretty good. Get a decent spread out of just listing a house around here. So that's the advantage that we have that's what we're building towards. It takes time, right? It's taking time right now, but we're doing some mails with you guys. On the investor machine, and it's very niched. It's not all of LA. It's just in this area that we identified we want to be in, and we're building our SEO muscle in that area. We're running some ads in the local newspaper, maybe the church bulletin, and some social media to people. So getting out there to local agents again. So we're just kind of getting back to where we started. And when I started, I my mail area was about what I'm mailing right now. I didn't really mail to all of LA County, because it's just too big. It take you 2 hours to drive right now from one end where I'm at. I'm like in the south end to the north end, or I may say I'm in the other end of the county, Lancaster.
Yeah.
It take me 2 hours to get out there right now. No traffic.
Yeah.
There's my whole day.
Yeah. 2 hours with no traffic. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah. And if you don't manage these rehabs, they go to shit. people are
For
just doing
sure.
whatever they want. Even these guys work for me every day. You got to manage them.
Yeah.
Not every day, but you have to be there at least once a week and set the tone. So
Yeah.
yeah, then you start losing money if you're not tight on that.
Yeah. You got to get it tight. You got to get those timelines tight. So awesome. Well, John, it's great to see you, my friend.
Yeah, great seeing you.
If folks want to connect with you and learn more about what you're doing, maybe you can share a little bit more about your just exactly where you're at in your market, and if folks want to connect with you in any way.
Yeah, I'd say we're in the LA. We're in the LA Orange County market. It's the best way to say it.
Yeah.
So we kind of do stuff everywhere. If people have a deal they want to bring to us, we'll look at it anywhere. We'll JV with people. We know a lot of people. So yeah, I would say just go to my website, johnmedinabuysHouses.com. And that's probably the best way to get a hold of us. You can fill out a form or just call the office from that number. And then Ricky, my partner, answers the phone a lot. So yeah, we're open to doing business with people, especially if people want a JV or they have something that they just want. We're all about helping people to give me back. So if someone just wants to call and have some information, we're good with that. But yeah, we're here. We love to connect with people. And I have Instagram and Facebook, johnmedinabuysHouses.com. So yeah, we're on there and that's probably the best way to get a hold of us.
We'll add some links down below. So good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. I really appreciate you. It's good to meet you too.
Everybody, thanks for joining us today. At the end of the day, you have to you have to run a business that kind of fits your life, right? And so it's going to ebb and flow. There's going to be some ups and downs. There's going to be some challenges. But if you stick with the business, this is a great business to be in. I know it's been a challenging couple of years, but there's ebbs and flows and there's market cycles. And I have a feeling that 2026 is going to be an amazing year for real estate investors. We're going to start to see some stuff break loose here. So appreciate you guys so much for joining us on the show today. We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us for today's show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing on your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. You can also check out the show's notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and even how to work with me directly one-on-one. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. See you on the next show.